So here we are, part 3. We're nearly there. If you've just found this in a search, you've not seen parts 1 and 2, what's wrong with you? Go and see parts 1 and 2. You can't start a part 3. Don't be an idiot. Seriously, go on. Anyway, so those of you that have seen parts 1 and 2, let's crack on. So onto the software. We're running Android. Oopsie, I've just turned the sounds off. We are. Where does it actually give us the? So there we go. Android version 8.1. Samsung Experience version 9.5. I don't know what that means. Is that like the browser? Is that basically sort of TouchWiz version 9.5? I don't know. For anyone that wants to know, those are the different versions of things that I have. Thankfully, we do have 1st of August security patch. Now, it is the 2nd of September, but I don't think even my Pixel will have the September update. Normally, it's kind of the 5th or the 6th. I've had this for a week, and it had the August patch on it. Like, well, I had to patch to it straight away. So that's at least a sort of promising thing. It is, they're gonna, well, they are at least now up to date with security patches. I used, when I first set the phone up, I used Samsung Smart Switch, which copies everything from your old device onto the new device. Apparently it can even work across iPhones, so I mean, I give them credit for it. Well done, that sounds good. If you're trying to sort of encourage people to leave iOS and iPhones, then make it nice and simple for them to literally bring everything with them over to the Samsung. A few things to bear in mind if you're doing that on this device. Make sure USB debugging is off. I think it is by default, so don't need to worry about that. I mean, I have turned it on just because I've gone into developer mode and I wanted to, whoopsie, I want to be able to use other things which needs USB debugging to be on. But that's, you would know if you turned that on, put it that way. You have to set the connection to file transfer. You need to install Smart Switch on the other older device. And bear in mind, it didn't copy app data for me, which seemed quite weird. I thought the big benefit I thought I was having of copying across from the old device was it brought my app data. But no, it brought my photos, my videos, my call log, my text messages, and the apps themselves, but not the app data. So just bear that one in mind. And also bear in mind, if you watched part 2, that I had terrible battery life, so I factory reset anyway. Personally, I do prefer starting fresh. There's a few apps that I need to make sure I back up that I can then put back, restore when I install a new phone. So I make sure I've got those backed up, but I much prefer to start fresh generally. So that would be my advice, is start fresh. One of the first things I did was change the nav buttons around, so Samsung's default is that's back and that's app switcher. But I'm so used to the other way around, that was one of the first things that I did. I'm not particularly a fan of their launcher. I don't know, it's not, I like the swiper, but it's all very smooth, but then you're going sideways. I don't like that for starters. If I've swiped up to get into the tray, I'd much prefer to keep going, but that just, so you can swipe anywhere to bring it up. I think that's a setting in the options somewhere. You can change the swipe down brings the notifications down, which you probably want to do, to be fair. But then it's a side scroller. And then up in the settings, I mean, I suppose I quite like you get different options. Oh, I'm sure I've seen more options than that before. So either alphabetical or custom. You can literally, again, iPhone is kind of custom order, but alphabetical. Why would you not be alphabetical? I can't actually remember. No apps can perform this action. And then we do have some settings for the home screen. A few. But I'm not a big fan. I did, before I wiped, I had put Nova Launch back on, and it, for me, it's just such a nicer experience. So again, I would recommend looking at Nova Launcher. I don't like adding an app, for example. I want to add that to the home screen. Normally, oh, do you know what? Ignore me. Remove from home screen. In the past when I've done that, I'm sure it's not actually moved. You've just got to stay persistent. Oh, no, it's, what? Yeah, so that's, you have to drag up to the top and then, so okay, that's a little, I'm not quite sure what it's doing. Sometimes it lets me, sometimes it doesn't. And I guess it's just a getting used to it type thing. I say I'm just happier with Nova Launcher generally. We have Bixby Home over on the left, which honestly I've not particularly, oh yeah, as you can see, look, when I even started. So I had used it before I factory reset, but it's just not something that, why is it not even, oh, you can start. I'm not even going to bother. I'll let you look into Bixby Home somewhere else. It's not something I want to spend time talking about, if I'm honest. We are going to get to Bixby in a second. So yeah, Nova is the big recommendation there. So I also love, as well as an always on screen, I love a tap to wake. And actually that did it because, oh, I had a I had a notification from Bumble. But generally, nothing until double tap on the home screen. So at least it's there. The thing is, when it's on a desk like this, you don't want to have to keep lifting up, pressing a finger to unlock it. So double tap. I'm happy enough with that. That's okay. I think I've mentioned the Force Touch on the home screen already. I prefer the Pixel's squeezable frame, if I'm honest. I found myself just triggering it more than I wanted to. I do like, so Samsung, they quite like you to theme your phone, to make it your own. So you can go into themes here. A lot of them cost money, so just be aware. Let's see, they're like £1.12, £1.40, £1.43. It's not a lot, so if you really like one, then why not? But it basically allows you to just entirely change the look of your device. I don't think there's any free ones. Do I have anything else at the top that I can? Top what? Top free. So yeah, I think I installed that one at one point, probably before I reset. So it just changes the overall look of the device, everything, including the drop down buttons, your dialer. So I like that Samsung, they let you customize to that sort of extent. There is also, I did a video on Good Lock 2018, which lets you personalize a lot of different things, again, that you can't get to on an Android device. As open as Android is, a lot of times you just can't get to them. So do have a look at that video. I'll try and remember to put it appearing up in the corner there. I'll probably forget though. Where did I get to in my notes? So yeah, Good Luck. You can uninstall a reasonable bit of the bloat, and unfortunately I've removed it all already now, but you do get some bits and pieces. Look at my unboxing, I suppose, if you want to see what apps come with it by default. And a lot of them you can, as you would with anything else. So you see that one, that's the messages app, that's the text messaging. So that's not a normal or abnormal, sorry, that you can't remove that. I think that's kind of baked in. So you can install your own messaging apps, and you'll use kind of, I don't know if it comes through their messaging one. That's how they, I'm not entirely sure. So that one is not, you cannot disable or uninstall. But quite a few of the other things. So I think like Samsung members, I don't even know what that is. Samsung Internet, I could just uninstall. I have done a video on another app called Package Remover for Samsung, or something like Package Remover Pro Plus for Samsung. So have a look at that video. Again, I'll try and throw that one up there. And that lets you pretty much, lets you disable things. You can't uninstall some of them, but lets you disable, which for all intents and purposes is as good as it being uninstalled. So I kind of mentioned some of the options when it comes to battery power. Actually, that's for options of things you can change. But we've also got here like a performance mode. So I'm going to tap the lower, under the line means you're going to go into the settings version. Oh no, it doesn't. Sorry, details then takes me to the settings version. So we're in optimized at the moment, which is why it's at 1080p and all this kind of thing. If I want to go to high performance, it tells me, look, it's going to increase the brightness a little bit. It's going to increase the screen resolution. And again, you can change them yourself. You can alter those to however you might want them. You press apply. Do you see? I think I got slightly brighter. So we're now at 2K mode, but obviously that's going to use a lot more battery. So I'm coming back down to optimized, and that's what I've been on pretty much the whole time. And like I said, I've not had any issues. I haven't noticed any lag, anything like that. So probably my recommendation, unless you know you've got plenty of battery power to spare, you might just crank it up to the higher version. I've mentioned the battery modes already. Edge lighting is quite cool. Let's see if we can find that. And again, they've probably had it for a while, but I've never had a. So edge lighting, I think that's the one that we want. So it turns, so basically, what, I don't know if you can see from that. Can I? There we go. So I think this is giving us an example. So we can have different effects. You see that? So the idea being, if your phone's face down, I mean, it doesn't particularly work all that well in a nicely, I mean, I've got such bright lights going on. Can make it a bit thicker. That's more visible up. But the idea being, if your phone's face down, let's apply that. If your phone's face down like that and someone rings you, you can basically, it did work. It did happen to me the other day. And it just, everything around the phone started to glow. I mean, I could hear it vibrating anyway, but it was quite fun, I thought. Oh, you can set the volume keys to, so I've got nothing playing, no media. See, that's changing the media volume. Now obviously an Android Pi has turned to do that anyway, and up to before Pi I used an app. It was well, not my own app, sorry. I found an app that did that anyway. It locked it so that you're only changing the media volume. But Samsung have it in their settings that can be your default, which I thought was quite good. I already kind of mentioned I would just like a bit more detail in the notifications on the lock screen. I mean, I suppose from a privacy point of view it's better like this, but I like to be able to just glance at the lock screen and see what some of the things are. The keyboard, I can't actually remember what the best way is going to be to show this. So you see there it says clipboard, so I tap that, and as it goes they're basically images, look. But if there's I can't remember what that number was for. Anything that I've copied until I hit delete all, which I'm going to do, no, I'll leave it, stays in my clipboard, and I can just select, actually that's what I want to paste. So if I've copied a few different bits of text, I just keep copying them, move to where I want them, and then just paste them or whatever I want. I thought that's actually really quite clever, basically, and quite a funky feature. So we're going to move on to the S Pen, which actually I'm really enjoying this time around. I've never really used it a lot on the previous devices. Every now and then you scribble a little note when you've just got a note. So you can do it, you don't have to turn the device on, you can then save that in the notes, etc, etc. We can erase bits away, we can write them again, whatever. I'm going to come out and discard that, I don't particularly need to see that. You can have it so that just pressing the button, I think I turned it off. So it wakes it, yeah, you can, I think you can have to say pressing the button unlocks the phone. Seems a little bit of an insecurity to me. But I love smart screen capture. What's going to be the best thing for me to, if I open up, so obviously you can just use the phone using the stylus instead of your finger. So we're going to go to time hop because this is where I noticed it first, and I think I've got a tweet quite early on that we can use as an example. Oh yeah. And here we go, look, so this is how I remembered what was going on with my Note 7. So I'm going to tap the little pen, and it gives me all the different options of things I want to do. You can change that, you can add to it by tapping on add shortcuts, and you get lots of different options of things you might want to add, or just app shortcuts, but those are what I've got. I don't particularly want the others. So let's go for Smart Select. So I'm going to cut round. Oh, let's try again. Why did that stop? So it basically cuts out just that segment. You can then share that, save that, upload that, do whatever you want, and that in itself is actually quite handy. I used it quite a bit when into MotoGP, where I was able to say, oh look at this guy, and just send them like a headline from the MotoGP app or something like that. And obviously you can just screenshot and send it, but it's one of my sort of a pet peeve really, I suppose, that people, they send like a screenshot of something really small and it's got big black bars, massive big screen. Anyway, so, but what I think is quite clever as well, extract text. So basically it's taken the text from that screen grab and given me the actual text, and I then copy that to my clipboard, and as you just seen with the clipboard, it can store quite a few of those, and off I go. So that's one thing it can do. Let's go into YouTube and whatever, this chap, whoever he is, turn the volume back down, and we're going to go back to Smart Select again, and you see at the top there it says animation, so we're going to select that, and we're going to move the box over him, and we're going to press record, and we're going to press stop, and that has basically now built me an animated GIF. I can draw on it, I can share it, I can save it. I just think that's really clever. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but it's good to know that if I see a bit of video, I can just save that as a GIF, and I can email it to people, I can share it to WhatsApp, and you know, the possibilities are, I won't say endless, but they're pretty big. What else do we have in there? So obviously create a note, just scribbling, screen write, take a picture of your screen and write on it. Live messages are actually, which I think it's quite fun really. You can change your pen style, you can change the thickness and the color. I think we can change the background. We can put a picture in as the background. We can use an emoji thingamajig, but basically we're just making GIFs again. Although having said that, you can export it as an MP4 if you prefer. Now I'm not going to save that, I didn't particularly want that, but you will find it straight away in your gallery if you save it. And then the other thing that actually I found quite useful is magnify. So up at the top we can see there we're set to 200%, and you see anywhere I hover my stylus we can go all up to like 300. It has actually been quite handy on a couple of apps where the text has been so small, and me getting old now with my vision going. It's actually really handy. The obvious feature you probably already know about is holding the button down. Oh, double press changes the camera. And then single press takes the actual picture. I have used it already a couple of times. I think it's quite handy. I think it's quite neat. So all in all, I think that's most of the S Pen features covered. And I think, unfortunately, it's probably best we move on because I've still got Dex, Bixby, Hackability, and the conclusion to come. So I think we'll move that into the fourth part. I'll see you there.